Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
The #1 long-form writer that helps SEOs outrank competition at the click of a button using real-time research and NLP. Start ranking content today with contentatscale.ai.
Write your own fucking website copy in 12 easy-ish steps. Or, as I wanted to call my talk, write your own fucking website, 12 easy-ish steps to take you from blank slate to killer content. Because much to the dismay of the organisers of this event, I like to title my talks the way Fall Out Boy title their songs. Mandatory awkward introduction. Hi, my name is Alice. I'm a freelance website copywriter and SEO content consultant. This is me. There's a giant picture of my head in case you can't see the bright green hair from the back of the room. So let's talk about website copy, shall we? Website copy is about a lot more than just words. And it's a lot more than a large language model. Don't let ChatGPT fool you. Website copy, you see, is about tone of voice, branding, messaging, user experience, SEO, conversion, accessibility, usability, design. If you're starting to feel a bit like this, that's okay. In the next 20 minutes, I've got you covered. Welcome to the wonderful world of website copy. Now, there are 12 steps in this process to writing a fucking great website. Here are the first 6. Here are the second 6. Don't panic about taking photos. I will be sharing slides at the end of the talk. Seems simple enough, right? Right? So step 1, hoard information like your life depends on it. This is going to be a physical manifestation of what your computer and your brain are going to look like if you want to gather enough information to do your website justice. And I've created 3 tiers of information gathering for you to help you figure out what you need to know and why you need to know it. Tier 1 is the bare minimum. This is looking at things like your industry, the types of inquiries, your target audience, your business goals, your conversion points, the types of inquiries you get, the types of inquiries you want, and critically, the gap between those 2 things. But don't you worry, I have created a checklist for you. That is a phrase you will hear many times over the next 17, 18 minutes because I'm trying to fit way too much into my 20-minute talk. Tier 2 is the ideal scenario. Now, this is everything from Tier 1 plus analytics, current rankings, all of your marketing channels, tone and voice guidelines. If you don't have those, don't worry, we'll cover those in a minute. The real USPs, none of that fluffy bullshit, please. You need to understand exactly what realistically differentiates you from your competitors. And, critically, difficult conversation to have, why you lose out on clients through the sales process. And of course, that's also in a checklist for you. Tier 3, you are on to a fucking winner. This is the best case scenario of information gathering for your website copy project. You are looking for everything in Tier 1, everything in Tier 2, plus copy you love and why, copy you hate and why. The why is the most important part of that information. Campaign plans for the next 12 to 18 months. Ideally, a content and technical SEO audit before you even begin. Competitor rankings and full access to the entire marketing tech stack. And yes, of course, that's in a checklist for you as well. Why do you need all of this information? Because a website never works alone. It is just one of your many marketing channels, and everything needs to interact together. So now that we've gathered all of our information, how the fuck do we organize it? That is where a sitemap comes in. But Alice, what the fuck is a sitemap? And why do I need to care about it as a copywriter? So, this is a very rudimentary, very basic visualization of a sitemap. And this is going to tell you where you need to write about which topics and how all of those pieces of content fit together. I'm going to take you through a really quick bit of terminology here. So there are 2 different ways of describing the levels of web pages on your site. We have the home page, we have index pages, and then the pink ones are child pages. You may also hear them referred to as level 1, level 2, and level 3. Here are two fantastic pieces of software to help you create a visual sitemap for your website. The purple one, my personal favorite, that is Octopus. This is the one you want to be using if you are only writing copy for your own website, because they have a free plan where it does have some limited functionality, but it has enough where you can create one sitemap for free. I also use it for my freelance clients. I have the paid version. It is very cheap for what you get and allows me to create as many as I like. The orange one over here, that is Slick Plan. This is like God-tier sitemap planning. This is ideal for agencies, for companies whose entire purpose are to create website after website after website for their clients, but it's very expensive, so only invest in it if it's really worth it for you. Back to the sitemap. So when we are deciding what needs to go into the sitemap, one of the critical things is to figure out what is the most necessary piece of information people need to achieve your goals. I want to take you through a very, very quick client story of mine. The reason here that this is a basic sitemap for a hotel, for anyone who doesn't know, is that I spent nearly 5 years working in a marketing agency that specialized in branding and websites for luxury hospitality. Now, this client story, I worked with Captain's Club Hotel and Spa in Dorset, and one of their main goals for their new website was to increase footfall in their restaurant. Now, what is it that people really want to know when they go to a restaurant? They want to know what they can fucking eat. They want to have a look at the menu, maybe decide beforehand. And if you don't make it easy for people to find that information, they're not going to bother. They'll go elsewhere. So we pulled out all of their menus onto a separate page in the navigation, and within 2 months, footfall in their restaurant had significantly increased. Step 3, IA and navigation. And no, you did not misread that. You did not mishear me. I am not talking about AI. There are going to be plenty of talks about that throughout the rest of the conference. I want to talk to you about information architecture. Information architecture covers things like content design, user experience, and website navigation. But it's not only available online. You will see it in the real world as well. If you are fancy enough to shop at Waitrose, you may be familiar with this signage. Things that are going to tell you where the offers are that encourage people to make a beeline for those sections, tell you where the cat food is, where the laundry detergent is, all of those things. That signage helps you navigate the physical space. Also, if you are an outdoorsy type, you like to go on hikes, you'll be familiar with these sorts of walking signs. They use a combination of numbers and letters, colors, words, symbols to tell you where you need to go. But back to websites for a sec. Information architecture isn't just about navigation. It covers things like content hierarchy, the navigation, headings, button text, content design, breadcrumbs, footers, and anchor text. And website navigation is the customer-facing counterpart to your sitemap. Where a sitemap is about structure, navigation is about usability. And remember what I was saying earlier about the menus page for that restaurant? If you bury the leads won't come. People are not interested in hunting down information. You have to make it easy for them to find. Step 4, and we're nearly halfway through, but I promise we're coming up to a speed round. Tone of voice and branding. Now, do you strictly need a tone of voice document? No. The only case that you absolutely have to have one is if you are going to have more than one person writing content for that brand, which honestly you should be, because marketing is not a one-person job. I speak from experience. And the reason that you need that is because brand consistency is vital to success. If you have one person managing your social media, one person running your TikTok account, someone writing your emails, a different person writing your website copy, and they all sound like different people, no one's going to trust you, and why should they? So if you don't have a tone of voice document, how do you get started? The most important thing is to ask the right questions, and this is going to be really useful whether you are writing your own website or whether you are writing on behalf of a client. And I've created a little exercise for you that you can download at the end of the talk to help get you started. Step 5, context, aka how people actually use the internet. Yes, it's finally time to talk about the words. Now, something you need to consider is that unless you are in the business of encouraging impulse purchases, so you're very much that impulse purchase B2C kind of vibe, Anything else, people are going to be browsing your website on both desktop and mobile before they make their decision. And this is one of the most bitter pills to swallow as a copywriter of 10 years. No matter how good your content is, no one is going to read every single word. In fact, if it is the best website copy you've ever written, it's because people don't need to. People scan for relevant information. That is how they use the internet, and that is how we need to be writing and formatting our copy. Little heads up for the next slide. The colors are not pleasant to look at. I'll try and get it over and done with pretty quickly. This is known as an F reading pattern, and it is based on studies of scanning eye movements as people look down various web pages. And it shows you that people look at headings, they look at images, they look at logos, they look at things that are slightly differently formatted, so bold, underline, all of that sort of stuff. If you're lucky, they might look at the first line of a paragraph. And of course, people are drawn to bullet points. And why is this important? Because if you bury the leads won't come. And while we're here, big blocks of text. I'm sorry, friends, they don't make you look clever. They don't make it look like you know what you're talking about. They just make you look really out of touch. Headings are your best friend on your website. None of that fluffy bullshit, though, please. Got to keep things clear and simple. Headings and bullet points should be used liberally throughout your website copy. Step 6, we are almost at the halfway point. Volume. And no, I do not mean parties, gigs, festivals. I am, of course, partial to a festival myself, but we're here to talk about website copy. How much content do you need on each page? Now, I work with a number of clients where I write their website copy. I work with a number of coaching clients where I help them to write their website copy. And the number one question is, how much content do I need on each page? And this is what I tell them. You need to find the balance between brevity and clarity. You will see some people out there give you the advice of write it in as few words as possible. But that is how we get into jargon territory. And jargon isn't helpful for anyone. It's brevity and clarity. In how few words are you able to explain clearly what it is that you mean? And take it from me, a person with ADHD, if you take a long and winding road to get to your point, people stop listening. They stop paying attention. They don't care. You have to be succinct, and you have to be clear, and you have to be obvious, because if you bury the leads won't come. I want to tell you really quickly about another cheeky little client story. Totality Services, they're an IT support company in London. They came to me last year because they were severely punished by 2022 helpful content updates. And looking at the site they brought to me, I'm not surprised, to be honest. By their own admission, it was a bit of a sprawling mess. We're talking 40 to 50 pages, lots of duplicate content, 10 to 15-year-old SEO tactics. And it wasn't converting. It was full of jargon. It was full of repetition unnecessarily. And I came in, redesigned their sitemap, brought the website right the way down from 40 to 50 pages to about 9, total word count of 4,500 words. Honestly, one of my proudest achievements with my client projects. And within 6 months, their SEO has drastically improved. They are ranking for all of their target keywords, and critically, their conversions have increased. Why? Because they are no longer burying the lead. Step 7, headings and content hierarchy. Headings, you see, serve two main purposes. I mentioned this a minute ago. Clarity. Remember what I said about information architecture and how people scan for information. And of course, SEO, just don't be a spammy bastard about it. You do not need, contrary to popular belief, keywords or semantic keywords in every single heading on your website. It's not necessary. So heading structure, I'm going to talk you through H1s, H2s, and H3s. Now, they are, of course, design prompts, but they are critical to your SEO. In case you aren't aware of this already, I'm sure you are because we're at an SEO conference, but I'm going to cover it anyway. There should only ever be one H1 on a page. You would be amazed at the amount of websites that I audit and find they have multiple H1s. Every page needs one, and every page needs only one. And then your H2s and H3s are supporting headings. Step 8, links, goddamn anchor text. If you've seen me speak here before, if you were here last year, you will know how I feel about shitty anchor text, but I'm gonna quell the rage for a minute and talk about links first. Orphan pages are damaging to your SEO. An orphan page, for anyone who doesn't know, is a page that has been left outside, cold and alone in the dark. There is not a single internal link leading to that page. You have to create an intentionally interconnected web of content throughout your entire website to make sure the search engines know what topics are important, what pages are important, and which pages you really want to rank. And yes, of course, I have created a checklist to help you with that. Wanky anchor text, my mortal enemy. Now, do you want to know what wanky anchor text looks like? This. Click here is a bunch of bullshit. What does click here tell the people who are scanning your website for information? What does click here tell people who use screen readers to access your content? What does click here tell the search engines about the relevance of your page and how interconnected your intentionally interconnected web content is? Absolutely fucking nothing. But the good news is, I've got a few templates for you to improve your anchor text. It is my life's mission to get rid of click here on people's websites. Example 1 is website copywriting. For me, that is my main service. So if you are using linking to a product or service page, just use the title, simple as that. If you are linking to external resources, you are looking at date, content type, source. So 2023 article from Harvard Business Review. And the third one is specifically related keywords. So this is where you can inject semantic keywords into your copy and use those to link to relevant service and product pages. Step 9, inclusivity and accessibility. I am fast running out of time, so we are going to have to speed through this very, very quickly. Why should we care about making our websites inclusive and accessible? Don't be a dick, mate. Don't be a dick. You are cutting out core audiences. So not only are you potentially losing a lot of money if your content is not accessible and your content is not inclusive, you're also just being a bit of a dick. Everyone deserves fair and equal access to the internet, and you do not want to be the reason that people can't access your website. So 3 quick accessibility tips. Unfortunately, I really do not have time to give you any context for these. Use high contrast colors, helps people read your content. Use clear formatting and short paragraphs. It helps people read your content. And always add alt text to your images. It helps people who are using screen readers to access your content. So now people can access your content. How do you make it inclusive? Here are a list of words that you may or may not realize are actually quite exclusionary. And some of these, as you can imagine, can be particularly problematic in the wedding industry. I hate to break it to you, not all married couples are bride and groom. Now, I have also provided a selection of alternatives for you. One I feel particularly strong about is the fact that they is grammatically correct. It takes less time to write and less time to read than he/she. It's 2023, guys. We can do it. I believe in you. Step 10, hidden content. We are talking about meta titles and meta descriptions, and as I don't have time to take you through it, I've created a little checklist that gives you the perfect guideline of how to follow all of the rules. Every bit of content that you write is an opportunity to market your business. That includes your metadata, that includes your email sign-off. I personally opt for speak soon, nerd emoji, and also it includes your 404 pages. This is the 404 page of my new website, and I absolutely love it. It might actually be my favorite page of my new website. Because if you are going to give people a shit experience on your website, which is what happens if they stumble on a broken link, it's a shit experience, turn it into a good one. Step 11, SEO. 97 slides in at the SEO conference, and I haven't even really talked about it. Get your shit together, Alice. The reason I haven't really mentioned it yet is because SEO is not your main priority for website copy. Your main priorities are usability, accessibility, messaging, brand, conversion, and clarity. With that said, I have, of course, made you a little checklist. And that checklist is going to be super helpful for your SEO content, which includes your blogs, cornerstone pages, pillar pages, and case studies. Now, I have run out of time. I was going to take you through my website copywriting process. However, you will be able to find that, we'll get through it, if you download these slides. So you can either scan the QR code or take a picture to save for later. And yes, it is case sensitive, so be aware of that. And if you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed by all of this website copy nonsense, you can also access the 12-week course that this presentation was based on through that link. And if nothing else, remember, everything will probably be fine. Thank you.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.